welcome once again to another edition of Coffee and Sports in the Morning. I'm your host for today, Mr. William D. Morgan. I have on one of the best co-hosts in podcasting history, my man Mo Better. Mo, what's up?
Hey, what's good, Will? What's good, chat?
Man, good to be here. Good to be here hosting this morning, man. Got a lot to talk about. First thing I want to get your opinion on real quick. Monday Night Raw. What did you think about the show?
I thought it was entertaining. You know, sometimes Monday Night Raw can be very routine-like, but you know, as we're ramping up for WrestleMania, I thought really that's what it was about, building up the storylines and the matchups for WrestleMania. So I thought they did a good job.
I do like when Brock came out. You know good and well Seth wasn't gonna do nothing because he hadn't been cleared to wrestle yet.
Agreed.
He wasn't gonna do nothing. But we do get Obafemi coming in there doing his thing. Do you think the brothers get reparations against Brock WrestleMania?
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily reparations. I would just say that
yeah, it is
because he's a younger talent, and they usually kind of hold back on pushing guys. I think Obafemi is ready to be pushed like right now.
Yeah,
and he's closer to the beginning of hitting his prime as a performer, whereas Brock is on the other end of his prime. It doesn't benefit Brock Lesnar if he beats Obafemi at WrestleMania. It doesn't uplift him in any way. He doesn't get anything out of it. But if Obafemi were to get put over, it'd be huge for his career. It'd be a slingshot to being a superstar. As a fan, I hope they do the right thing and put him over. Because Brock was the monster for over a decade.
Facts.
Guess what? Why not put over the guy that's going to be the next monster for a decade?
Now, this weekend, we did see a return of Ronda Rousey. What's your opinions on that?
My opinion is Money talks. Ronda said she was done with wrestling and how fake it was and all the politics behind it. And next thing you know, she shows up at an AEW event. Now, I don't know if that means she's going to perform for the company, but if she does, as we discussed last night, look, AEW, because they focus more on the in-ring happenings and the talent. If anybody can pull out the best version of Ronda Rousey as a wrestler, it would be AEW in the way they're formatted.
Facts. All right, let's go ahead and move over. Talk a little NBA basketball. Right now, if the season ended today, Mo, who do you think will be MVP and why?
I think if the season ended today, SGA would go back to back. He was the best player last year. All his team did was win their conference, then win the title, and he was finals MVP. He comes back this year. There's no drop off. He's as good or better. And the thing about SGA that they don't talk about a lot is he's a good defender too. He's not a one-way player. And I think, heavy as the crown, we should give credit to guys that are having career years. Jaylen Brown has been terrific. And I think Jaylen Brown deserves MVP consideration. But when people use words like, Jaylen Brown has as good as MVP case as any, he doesn't have a better MVP case than SGA. He might have a better case than Joker because the Nuggets have kind of fallen off a little bit, even with Joker and Murray. But Jaylen Brown's having a career year for Jaylen Brown. It's not like you can make the argument he's having a better year than SGA, and SGA is just having another SGA season.
Right.
I think SGA is the better player between the two. I think SGA is the best player in basketball right now. There are more exciting players. There are bigger players. Joker will always be the king of statistical dominance, but I don't know if being a statistical dominant always means that you're the best player. It means you put up a lot of numbers.
Yeah.
But if your team is catching L's, I don't know if it necessarily means you're the best player, especially when you're not known for putting much effort forth on the defensive side of the ball. I can't have my MVP be a great scorer, be a great offensive player, but you don't contribute nothing to the other side of the ball.
Right.
So I like again, with respect, I think Jaylen Brown's having a career year for Jaylen Brown. People keep saying they're surprised by the Celtics. I said before the season started they were going to make the playoffs. Did I
Mhm.
they would be in a position to be the second seed in the East? I did not. So they were
Nobody saw that coming.
they were better than I expected, but at a minimum they were a playoff team in my opinion because people act like the cupboard was bare. You still had Jaylen Brown, you still had Derek White, you still had Peyton Pritchard, 6 man of the year, and their system along with their coach, it all worked. I knew the Celtics weren't going to be, a doormat. But have they exceeded even my expectations? Yes, and a lot of that is due to the fact that Jaylen Brown has had a tremendous season. I just don't think that I think his season is better than SGA's. I don't think his season is better than Wemby. I don't think his season is even better than Cade Cunningham's, even though Detroit has struggled in recent games. I think he's had a great season and deserves consideration, but I don't think he's going to win it. I think SGA, barring an injury where he doesn't play enough games, I think SGA repeats.
Okay. Now let me ask you this. Who is going to be rookie of the year?
Look, I think when the season started, most of us thought it would be Cooper Flag for sure.
Mhm.
But I've been on this boat for months now. Look, Knippel has been better. I thought he was going to be a good basketball player,
Mhm.
but he's much better than I thought he was. Like, one, I didn't think Con could really create off the bounce consistently, and I was wrong about that. He's got more of a bag than I thought. Two, he's a rookie, but he's arguably the Hornets' leader.
Yep.
He's changed the culture there because his whole game is about playing and being relentless on both sides of the floor. And
Yep.
I think it's kind of like they've gravitated around him. LaMelo might be the bigger star, but Knippel's already their leader.
Right.
Yeah, I think Knippel, to me, he has as good or a better case than Cooper Flag because if the Hornets make the postseason, how can he not win Rookie of the Year?
It'll be kind of tough not to put him in. All right, let me ask you this. We got some teams fighting for playoff positioning right now. We got the Nuggets, the Thunder, and the Timberwolves. Now, by you talking about SGA like that, are we saying that Thunder is going to continue the season where they are? Or do you see a eventual slip? Maybe Denver and Minnesota can catch up?
I don't think the only team that's going to be able to catch them will be the Spurs. Denver, Minnesota, like right now, OKC has 53 wins.
Yep.
Denver is at 41. The Rockets are at 41. The Timberwolves are at 41. The Suns are at 39. So they're kind of all bunched up. And then you get the Lakers at the third seed at 43.
Mhm.
Oklahoma City, if they can stay relatively healthy, they're gonna win. They're gonna win the Western Conference. The only team, like I said, that has an outside shot of getting them because they're close enough is the Spurs. The Spurs are 50 and 18, so
Mhm.
they're three behind them in the loss column and three behind them in the win column. But can they make up that difference? Absolutely. I think the Spurs right now, outside of Oklahoma City, are the scariest team in the West.
I think the Spurs might be the Thunder's kryptonite, so to speak.
Well, they could be. They're young, deep, talented, and they have a young, transcendent player that kind of makes up for other guys' flaws. I would just say this with the Spurs: they've been really impressive, but the playoffs are a different monster.
Oh yeah.
It's more of a grind. I think the physicality goes up. The refs let them play a little bit more. I think that's going to be a challenge for the Spurs. I think that'll be a challenge for Wemby. If people can put hands on him, that could be difficult for him because he's light in the you know what. So I think the Spurs are dangerous, but I've been consistent about this. Is it possible that they could come out the West? No question. That being said, I think San Antonio's a year away. I think they're a year away.
But my thing is though, it's good to have a deep team because normally in the playoffs your rotation shrinks, but because the Thunder and the Spurs are so deep, they won't have those issues.
No, and I think depth is so critical, especially in the postseason where it's more of a grind, where other teams try to run a second defender at your primary or your secondary scorer. And so your depth, your bench players, uh, they got to be ready. I think the great thing about OKC is because SGA missed some time, Chet's missed some time, Jalen J Dub has been out. He's going to miss most of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Guys like Isaiah Joe have stepped up. Wiggins has stepped up. Cason Wallace
Mm-hmm.
has stepped up. You got the leadership of Alex Caruso. This team is a really good team, and people use the phrase "next man up" a lot.
Yeah.
But the Thunder really execute the next man up thing. All I'm saying is this: if they're fully whole, meaning Chet's back, Hartenstein's back, and J Dub is back, and they're all healthy, I'm not saying it's a lock they win the title, but I find it difficult to think anybody can beat them 4 times in a series.
Let me ask you about this, and I'm going to talk about the 65 game rule. I know it's been a huge talking point. Does it hurt MVP or other award races?
Initially, I was a little annoyed because I thought they should change that rule. Because what if a guy plays 59 games, but he's been clearly the best player in the league? He's not going to be eligible for any of those awards.
Right.
And so there's a frustration level there. I get why Silver did it, and I don't even mind the 65 game rule.
Mhm.
But I think you have to make some kind of amendments to that. If a guy's been the best player in the league,
Right.
and he's played 59 or 62 games, you're really going to say that the next guy up, who's a great player probably, but isn't better than the guy that we've been watching for 62 games. I think that's a little frustrating right there. So I respect the 65 game rule because they wanted to weed out obviously load management and things of that nature. But the truth of the matter is, Will, if you look at the way this season has played out, it hasn't changed anything, right?
No.
Like it hasn't changed anything. There are certain guys in the NBA that are just injury prone. So no rule can make Anthony Davis stay healthy. No rule can make Kawhi Leonard stay healthy, although he's been relatively healthy this season. The rule is in place, and I get it. But if a guy's actually hurt,
what you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
Right.
It's not his fault that he's injured or something. There's hurt and there's injured. If you're actually injured, there's nothing you can do about that.
Right.
So I like the idea of the 65 game rule. I just think that maybe there's a way they can amend that and be a little bit more flexible.
What would you amend it to?
I think I would take it like maybe a case by case basis. Say for instance, Joker plays 60 games, and we thought that over the course of the 60 games, we're looking at the best player in the league. We're looking at the MVP, but he missed some games due to a legit injury. I don't think he should be penalized. There's a difference. If Joker missed 8 or 10 games because they just DMP'd him because they wanted to rest him, that's different.
Right.
That's different. But if he's legitimately hurt, or any player for that matter is legitimately injured, and they play at least 60 games, I think you got to amend that and give them the same respect that you give anybody else that's an MVP caliber player.
Carmike, what's up? Yeah.
I mean, I think that there's truth in that to a degree, but I think too many times we gravitate towards low hanging fruit. Like if you listen to talking heads, if you listen to a talking head like Stephen A. Smith or somebody like that, because he lives off of this, like he talks about this particular player, like this player stole his girlfriend or didn't sign an autograph. And Kawhi, I'm just saying Kawhi Leonard is like low hanging fruit, right?
Yeah.
But I keep trying to remind people of the obvious. You can look it up. You can read it. He has chronic health issues. Toronto knew that when they got him for the one season. That's why they load managed him all the way to a championship.
Yeah.
And the Clippers knew that. It's not like, well, he didn't pass the fit. They knew everything they knew about him, and they still wanted him, knowing that going forward, you don't know if he's going to play 60 games or 50 games or less.
Knowing his issues, yeah.
Right, knowing his issues.
You brought him up, and want to have a quick conversation. Stephen A. Smith, do you still think he has the quote unquote, because I know ESPN's paying him a lot of money, but do you feel that he's still the guy for, and I know I'm talking about NFL, I'm not going to talk, because I know he's not an NFL guy, but do you still think he's that authority that people listen to about the NBA?
So this is what he says religiously, right? That First Take has been number one in the ratings for like 20 years. Don't he always say that? We're number one in the ratings, right?
Yep.
So he has the biggest platform, the most watched, I guess, sports show on national television. That part is true. But I don't think he's anybody's go-to guy on the NBA. He doesn't know any more ball than you or I do. And that's not me just talking. That's just a factual statement. Like,
right.
I'm not going to go off of what he says, because all he does is blather. He doesn't really give you actual facts.
Right.
So if you put somebody in front of a camera and they just blather with conviction, it doesn't mean what they're saying is right or true. It just means that he gets to talk the most and he talks the loudest. By the way, that applies to a lot of things in this country, but I'll digress.
So true.
Right.
Look, it's amazing to me. This dude's got like ESPN, his show, his political show. And it just kills me that he does a lot of talking out the side of his mouth. And it just amazes me how many people like gravitate toward that. Just because you're the loudest doesn't mean you're the best.
No, it doesn't. But I'll give him credit for where he was and where he is. You can say he's at the top of the food chain when it comes to doing what we're doing right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to his credit, he worked himself there. But I think when people talk basketball, they look to analysts. I think they do look towards guys like even a Windhorst. I think Kenny Smith is really good. If you really listen to the guys inside the NBA, I'm talking about the guys that actually break games down. There are more informed basketball analysts than Stephen A. Smith. I'm not saying he doesn't know anything about basketball, but he's definitely not. He's not the go-to guy when it comes to basketball. I think he's more of he knows a little bit about everything, but he's not really great at any one thing.
Kind of like a jack of all trades, but master of none.
Right. I think the only thing he's mastered is giving himself credit for everything. But other than that, he's just a guy.
All right, let's jump back on the court real quick. What contender out there you feel is a pretender? Multiple teams if you want it to be.
I mean, it's painful to say, but but honest. I think the Lakers are pretenders. Yeah. I watched them beat the Rockets last night in a kind of an ugly game. Went back and forth a little bit, but I thought the Rockets were a pretender from the gate.
Yeah, you did.
And I told people that. I said that. I was like, they got Durant, and you're going to make an assumption, and y'all have to stop doing that.
Yeah.
They look at his numbers and go, look at his number. He's efficient. Yeah, he's going to get his numbers the same way LeBron is still getting numbers where he's at. But do they impact games the way they used to? Neither one of them are in their prime. They're still playing at high levels. We can admit that. But
right,
Kevin Durant, if he's got to be the one to carry you to a title at 37, you're not winning a title. James Harden, I think he helps Cleveland. But if James Harden at 36 is going to help, you're not winning a title. These guys that are 35 and older,
yeah.
They're not leading you to the title.
My problem with Cleveland, if Harden decides to be a true point guard, and all intents and purposes he needs if it doesn't fall on his shoulders during the playoffs, If it's more Donovan than it is Harden, I think they will have a chance in the East. But if it goes back to him being the main guy during the playoffs, judging by his history, I don't think that would be good for the Cavaliers.
I don't disagree with that take at all. I think that James Harden in his right role, and I think that's what they're trying to veer towards.
Yeah.
It's still being Donovan's team. They want Evan Mobley to be the number 2 guy. If Harden is in the role of the point guard / third option, I think that's a perfect spot for him. And I agree with that. Look, if D Mitch and Evan Mobley do their jobs, then yes, Cleveland is very dangerous. If you're going from that standpoint, then I'm with you. I think Harden in a lesser role, if you will, that's a completely different dynamics, and that makes them a more dangerous team. My Lakers right now, LeBron is they got him in a different role where he's more like the third option. So they've played better. They're in the 3 seed. But I still think it's fool's gold, Will, because I still don't think they're a good defensive team. I still don't think they have enough shooting. If they get a good matchup, can they win a first round series? Yeah. If they get to play Houston in the first round, we're winning that. We're winning that series.
That's what
we're playing the Rockets. We're winning that series, and I don't mean like in a 7-game back and forth war. I mean we're winning that series in like 5 games. You know what? I'm gonna do the Shannon Sharpe again. Lakers in 5.
Lakers in 5.
Lakers in 5. But yeah, I think that it's not just in the East where we go matchups are going to decide the postseason. It's in the West too.
Yes.
Like if you're the OKC and you're the defending champions, even though I said fully healthy, I don't think they can lose. There is one team that even fully healthy is a problem for them, and it's San Antonio.
Oh yeah, facts.
And I'm saying that to say this. I'm sure they wouldn't mind if Denver took out San Antonio. You know what I mean? Like of course they want that to happen. And if the Nuggets are right, could they? Sure.
Yeah.
I think both conferences are wide open. It's okay to have Oklahoma City as the favorite if they're going into the postseason healthy because they're the defending champions. That makes sense. In the East, I think we've both enjoyed watching Detroit do what they've done this season. But I think we also both agree that in the postseason, when they run a second defender at Cade to get the ball out of his hands, who's going to create offense out of nowhere on that Detroit starting 5 or even off the bench? They don't have enough shot creation. They don't have enough shooting. And I think eventually that's going to be what catches up to them. They need another second option. They need another guy on the perimeter that can create offense for himself and others.
Oh, hold on. We got some breaking news here on Wire to Wire. It's been reported that your team, the San Francisco 49ers, has signed wide receiver Christian Kirk. How you like that news, Mo?
No, I like it a lot. I said when we get Mike Evans, you're going to still need to add to that receiver room. You're going to still need to add to that receiving core. Christian Kirk gives us another solid receiver who I think he works the middle really well. He's a chain mover, if you will. I think it just adds a little bit more depth. I like that move. I like it a lot. I was hoping, though, they would get another guy, a speed guy that could take the top off the defense. And I know people are saying, what about Mike Evans? And I'm like, this isn't prime Mike Evans. This is 32-year-old coming off injuries Mike Evans. Like, I think he's going to be productive. I don't think he's going to be Pro Bowl Mike Evans.
Got a question here in the chat. My question is with the NBA expansion on the way. They're adding Vegas and Seattle. Both teams are on the West Coast. We'll be adding Memphis and New Orleans to the Eastern Conference. I can see New Orleans being in the Eastern Conference. I don't know, man. Memphis and New Orleans to the East. I get New Orleans. I
don't know about Memphis.
Yeah.
What about? I thought Minnesota would make better sense, right? Wouldn't it be Minnesota?
I think Minnesota would make more sense. Keep Memphis in the West and move Minnesota to the East.
Right. I think Minnesota makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, normally I'm like, don't be in a rush to expand, but
Mhm.
I'm excited that Seattle's a great sports town. Will you know
Oh yeah,
this?
oh yeah. I was
Bring
born there, Burn, Washington.
Yeah, bring them Sonics back, man. Bring them jerseys. I love those jerseys. Bring the Sonics back. Vegas was built. Look, it's Vegas. They're built to have a pro team. So if you got the Raiders out there, then you get a pro team out there as well. I think that's great.
Clay Bennett, you should have never left.
Yeah, facts.
Stupid.
But yeah, I like the idea that I'm not sure about. I'm with you though. Why are you moving Memphis to the east? That doesn't make sense.
Nah, I'm keeping them where they at.
And you don't really need Memphis and the Wizards in the same conference, right? You got to kind of keep them bottom dweller teams like apart a little bit. You don't need to have too many in one conference. So
Oh yeah. One thing is for sure though, you at least you won't be losing games when you add two expansion teams. If anything, it might expand expand the season a little bit.
maybe. Let me ask you this, Will.
Mm,
Like Zion Williamson has been fairly healthy this season, right?
mm, mm.
And you might have the information in front of you. I don't know. I think he's 26. I don't say he's
26,
26,
27, yeah.
26, 27. So he's
Yeah.
still a young man. Do you view him? Because here we are, we're in year 7 or 8 of the Zion experiment.
Mhm.
I look at him differently from others. I'm like, okay, so if he's healthy, I think he can be part of helping you be a winning team.
Right.
But I think the idea that he's a franchise player, I think that boat sailed. I don't think
I
he's a
don't,
fr- I don't think he's a franchise player.
I think I think a healthy Zion is in the hall of the very good. I don't think he's a franchise guy. You can't have a franchise guy always being looked at as someone who's an injury candidate. You just
Right.
can't. You have to have somebody there to be that franchise guy looking for availability. And I think while he's in the hall of very good, I think his availability is always going to be an issue. It's always going to be a question. So that's going to be the one thing I think that keeps him out of that realm. But all of
Right.
it very good and somebody you can add to make a championship team, of course, you can definitely do that. But in terms of him being the franchise guy, nah.
Yeah, and that's really all I'm saying. This isn't me saying he can't play at a high level. He can't help you win. But he's a tweener, Will. Like he can score, but
Mhm.
he can't shoot.
Right.
He's a good rebounder, but he's not a great rebounder. He's not a dominant rebounder.
Mm-mm.
And if you're being nice, you would say he's an average defender. He's probably a below average defender. So I'm thinking of if he was your second option, you might be a pretty good team, a really good team.
Yeah.
And I think he could be an all-star player, not a superstar. I think he has superstar moments, right? Where you go to ESPN and you see the nightly highlights or whatever. But when you think of top 10 players, he's never been one of those. No one's ever mentioned Zion. Not even people in New Orleans were like, yeah, Zion's at least top 10. Like, no, he's not. No one's ever said that. I think you're right. I think he's very good. But this idea that he was going to be a transcendent player, that's done with.
I got hate when he first got drafted because I said I think Ja Morant, talent wise, would be that Marco's ability would be a little bit better. I caught some hate for that, but I still feel that it will always be a very good player, someone you can add to, someone you can put, let's say, for example, a better point, a better defender around to make his team better. But in terms of him being a guy, no. No, that's not him. Let me see. Yeah, but that's a difference between being a main attraction and a franchise guy, though, Carmike.
Well, he is an attraction. He's not a franchise player.
No.
And I see his other question too. Are you asking is Cooper Flag transcendent? Because I'm gonna say no. I think Cooper Flag is gonna be terrific, but transcendent?
That's a different category.
I don't think he's man. They use that word way too often in this
That's
era.
Yeah,
They want to make everybody transcendent.
transcendent's a different category.
I don't think so. Like when I think of transcendent, you're looking at everything they could be and what they are in the present.
Right.
Like Wemby looks like he's on the verge of being transcendent, right? Like because he's just different. A 7'5" guy that can put the ball on the deck and pull up or attack the ball. Never seen anything like that before.
Yeah,
I've seen multiple versions of Cooper Flag before. Like if Keith Van Horn played now, he'd be Cooper Flag.
Oh yeah.
I've seen variations of the Cooper Flag skill set. So I think Cooper Flag is going to have a great career. I think he'll be an all-star. I'm not going to make a leap and say he's going to be transcendent. I don't see transcendent.
No. Now I will say this, going back to Zion for a quick second. You know who Zion kind of reminds me of?
Who's
you
that?
remember a player by the name of Larry Johnson?
Yes, Grandmama. Yeah,
Mhm.
no doubt. I think they're very similar because I think coming out of college, Johnson was listed at 6'7", but in reality, he was like 6'5".
Yeah.
Zion's shorter than what he's lifted at, and they both were explosive leapers, right? Obviously, Zion's more explosive, but I think they're very right. I think they're very similar. And Larry Johnson, prior to his back injury, was a perennial all-star. He was a really, really good player. But when we talked about the great forwards in history, we don't mention Larry Johnson because he was very, very good, not great.
Yep. Helped those Charlotte teams get to the playoffs multiple times. Shout out to LJ. Shout out to
LJ, Lonzo Mourning, Muggsy Bogues. Those are fun teams.
Fun teams for sure. But yeah, man. Right now, where we are in the NBA season, what would you give it? What grade would you give the season so far?
Even though I'm an NBA addict, maybe a B. I think even with the 65 game rule in place, a lot of guys have missed times. A lot of guys have made business decisions. And sometimes the effort doesn't always seem to be there. And I'm not pointing a finger at any one player or whatever. It can be stale at times. It can be. I know a lot of people were like, they wish that the referees would allow them to play a little bit more. And I'm not saying try to go back to the 90s or anything like that, but maybe just kind of try to weed out the ticky-tack fouls where there's barely any contact and the guy can go to the free throw line.
Oh yeah.
Right. And I'm not doing it. I'm not doing the low-hanging fruit. I'm not singling out SGA because I don't think SGA is the problem. I don't think SGA is doing nothing or anything different from what Luka does, what prime James Harden did, what Trae Young did, what DeMar DeRozan did for over 15 years. For whatever reason, they try to make SGA the poster child for foul baiting, but he doesn't even lead the NBA in free throw attempts.
Yeah.
So why are we attacking him and not the guys that are above him?
All right. I got to give you some props, Mo. On your TikTok page, you often ask the question, how effective would this guy be if he played in today's game? I'm going to bring up a guy who I want to ask you about. White Chocolate, Jason Williams. How do you think he'll fare in today's game?
Because the floor is spaced, I think he would be a good player. I don't think he would be a star. He wasn't a star before, so why'd I expect him to be any different? I think that he's unique in that people talk about him and you think that he went to like 6 or 7 all-star games or he was an all NBA player.
Right.
And he wasn't any of those things. He wasn't one of the best point guards of his era. He's more well known than some of the best point guards of his era, but that's amazing what a highlight reel can do for you. His highlight, his highlight reel is 10 times better than his career.
So, who do you think was better at the point guard position for those respective teams, Mike Bibby or Jason Williams?
Oh well, obviously Mike Bibby. It's not an accident when he left. They got better.
Yeah.
Mike Bibby was a better basketball player. Mike Bibby could do something Jason Williams couldn't do until he was washed up. He could shoot. Jason Williams couldn't shoot. He was a bricklayer.
Right.
And so and he couldn't guard anybody. Couldn't
Yeah.
guard. Well, he was young and couldn't guard anybody. He was just a cone. So he was just vastly overrated. Like to me, if you trade Jason Williams out for the dude from N1, the professor, I think the professor's better.
Wow.
I think the professor's an upgrade because he can actually shoot.
Wow.
Well, look, go back to the 90s. Go back to the 90s.
Mm.
Who's Jason Williams better than? Is he better than Terrell Brandon? We can play King of the Mountain. Is he better than Terrell Brandon? No.
Skill wise, no.
Is he better than Mark Price? No.
No.
Better than Nick Van Exel? No.
Hell no.
Who is he better than?
Yeah.
What point guard that was actually a really good point guard or a talented point guard that you looked at and said he's better than Steve Francis? No. Like he just wasn't that good. He wasn't even better than Mike Bibby. But Mike Bibby's not legendary, and people don't talk about Mike Bibby. And Mike Bibby doesn't have a really cool nickname. He's just a better player, though.
We got a question in the chat. Oh, how would Pager fit in today's game? Rest in peace, Pager. What would he do in today's game?
Pager would be an all-NBA player in today's game. No, there's no doubt in my mind. In today's game, with the spacing and the way the game is called, I think Pager's averaging between 25 and 28 points a night. Like, here's the crazy part. Joker, five of the best. You have the top 5 players in the NBA. Will 2 guys that are in the top 5 are less athletic than you and me.
True.
You know what I mean? So when they try to make the argument, this era is so athletic versus the 90s, like I don't want to hear about athleticism when two of your guys are less athletic than Larry Bird and nobody can guard them.
Right.
Pager is actually much more athletic than either one of them.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he would be better, but I think that if he came up in this era with the way the floor is spaced and the freedom that he would have, he'd be an all-NBA player for 10 years or more.
I'm going to ask you one more question about that, and we'll move on to some football. How would Dennis Rodman fare?
That one's complicated because with Rodman, you're going to get the elite defense. He's still going to be a terrific rebounder, but they can expose his weaknesses more in today's era, right? Like he can't get away with just coming down and crashing the boards. They're going to recognize that he can't shoot, and everybody's going to double off of him, right? You know what I mean? And they don't let you sit in the paint all day, like to wrestle for rebounding position. So I think he would be an effective role player, but I don't think he would be what he was in the 90s. Right.
All right, let's move over to some NFL football. Justin Fields looks like he's going to the Kansas City Chiefs. I like the move because you're over there with Andy Reid. Do you think Andy Reid can make him a better football player?
Yeah, I think Andy Reid is somewhat of a quarterback whisperer. I think he can make him better, but I guess the question I thought you were going to ask is like, can Andy Reid turn him into a starting quarterback? I don't even know if Andy Reid knows the answer to that. I think Andy Reid will definitely make him better, but I think we've seen enough to know that Justin Fields is not a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
We have to stop talking about how athletic he is and talented he is. Like, you can be talented, but if you don't apply that talent and it doesn't show on the field, all you are is talented. You're just a guy with potential. I think Justin Fields can find. I think he can find a lane in the NFL. But I think his lane is going to be as a really good backup.
We got another basketball question in chat. Question: does the Timberwolves need to trade Anthony Edwards away? They are wasting his talents.
Well, I agree. They're wasting his talents, but they're not going to trade him away. No team is going to go, we're wasting his talents, but let's get rid of our franchise player. Like, they're not doing that. The problem the Timberwolves have, Will, is they're in a weird NBA purgatory because they're good enough to be a top 4, top 5 seed, but I don't think they're built to go a playoff run, or they'll end up in the finals. I don't think they have enough firepower. I don't think they're athletic enough. You think about what they do offensively. It's Ant. Everything is Ant. They don't have another guy on their roster who can create off the dribble consistently. They don't have. They need more shot creators. They need more shooters. And I dare say this, even though Brett and I go back and forth and talk about the impact Rudy Gobert has had for the team defensively, I feel like at some point they have to get away from the Rudy Gobert era and look to get a center that can be a dual threat.
Right. I mean, because right now your favorite player is Julius Randle, and he hasn't been the most consistent with Minnesota.
You know what? I'm gonna give him credit. He played really well last season. He was terrific in the postseason. He's been a little up and down this year, but look, if he can replicate what he did last year in the postseason, the funny thing about the Timberwolves is, and maybe this is a test to how great a player Ant actually is, they are not a loaded roster. You don't look at that roster and go, "That's a stacked squad."
No.
But I think he's taken them to 2 conference finals already. I believe maybe 2 conference finals. I think in terms of what they have on the roster with the roster construction, I think they've maxed out what that group can do. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're the GM and you don't want Anthony Edwards to start mumbling about wanting to be traded or things of that nature, I think you have to make some tough decisions. And I'm not saying do a rebuild, but maybe do a rebrand, like maybe move Randall, maybe move Gobert, and bring in some guys that complement Anthony Edwards' skill sets better.
Right. Carmite says you have to pay dual threats too much money, and Rudy's defending the rim and is affordable. And not to mention, nobody wants to play in Minnesota. It's too cold out there, just like Milwaukee. That's what I've been saying.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree with that statement, but Philly's a big city. Nobody wants to play there either.
Don't let Genie you say that.
Well, I don't know about football, but in basketball, star players in the NBA don't go, "I want to go to Philly." Like the only guy that's ever said that in recent memory is Paul George, and he only said it because nobody else was asking for his services. So he lied and said he wanted to come to Philly, but everybody knows he didn't want to come to Philly.
Oh yeah.
Look, I get it. Minnesota's cold. That's fair. And when I say dual threat, I'm not saying you go out and you have to get a guy like Joker or Embiid. I'm talking about a center that's a little bit more balanced on both sides of the floor. You don't have to, like, I'll give you an example. The guy that just scored 83 points, for better or worse, Bam's a better basketball player than Rudy Gobert. Bam, to me, would be a better fit for Anthony Edwards than Rudy Gobert. No, he doesn't block as many shots, but he's actually a better defensive player because Bam can play. He can play in space too.
Right.
Like his quickness, his ability to show and recover. And when Bam snatches a rebound, he can actually take off and initiate your offense. So I'm talking about that kind of player.
Philly Sixers GMs don't make people feel wanted to play in the city, and the fans is brutal on top of that. Hey.
That's a nice way to put that. That's a nice way to put that. Let me start with Daryl Morey. Daryl Morey is probably one of the most overrated GMs in NBA history. And I say that because he's got this huge reputation, but you know what he's never done? He's never put together a championship team. Never. Nope. He didn't know anything about winning a title. What he's good at is he's good at making Band-Aid trades and Band-Aid signings, and your team coming up short. As far as the city goes, come on, Carmike. Philly's just mean. It's just a mean city. It's a mean city. It's mean. Even when things are going well, they're still complaining.
Still complaining.
Right. Come on.
Let me go back to the league, the NFL. I'm gonna ask you, who would you rather build around in the NFL? Your rookie coming in, Fernando Mendoza, or, and this is going to be like Fernando Mendoza versus a young starter. So, would you rather build around Fernando Mendoza or Brock Purdy?
That's tough, man, because Mendoza's getting ready to be a number one pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brock was the last pick in the draft. When you're the last pick in the draft, that means you're like one pick away from not being drafted at all. Literally, right?
Yep.
Like if the guy in front of you didn't go to the restroom, you wouldn't have got drafted. You know what I mean? Like John Lynch didn't draft Brock Purdy and go, guys, I just got our franchise quarterback. He didn't do that. He traded away 4 number 1 picks for Trey Lance, so he didn't know what the hell he was doing anyway. He got lucky with Brock Purdy. So Brock is the exception to the rule. Having said that, I've seen Brock play in the NFL and be effective, be really good, play at a high level.
Mm-hmm.
Mendoza has everything in front of him, but I don't know how good he'll be.
Right.
Look, if I'm going with the known versus the unknown, I would take Purdy over Mendoza. It's not even close, because Mendoza might turn out to be a career backup. You hope that's not the case, because I always root for the young dudes to come in and establish themselves. But what if Mendoza turns out to be another JJ McCarthy? You know what I'm saying? You just don't know. But I know Brock can play. Brock's proven that he can play.
Right.
Let me ask you this. It also matters what your franchise is in terms of the culture.
Oh, this is true.
If the Raiders had a choice between Mendoza, let's just say for some weird reason the Niners said Brock Purdy was available. They had a choice between trading for Brock Purdy or drafting Mendoza. Who do you think the Raiders would go with? Because my thing is the way the Raiders do things, the way Mark Davis as an owner thinks, I think he still would go with Mendoza.
I think so too.
Yeah, because they're stupid.
Fernando Mendoza or Will Levis?
Mendoza. No offense to Will Levis, but I think you are what you are, bro. I think you are what you are.
Fernando Mendoza or Desmond Ridder?
Oh, Mendoza. Like some of these guys you naming, they are locked in as journeyman backups. By the way, if you have a long career in the NFL as a backup quarterback, that's still a really good career. It just isn't a star. But yeah.
Right. Fernando Mendoza or Kenny Pickett?
I'll take Kenny Pickett. Actually, you know what? No, I won't. No, I won't. I'll take Mendoza.
All right. Fernando Mendoza or Sam Howell?
I'm gonna take Mendoza. Sam Howell is one of those guys. Well, a few years back, I thought he was right on the edge of becoming like a really reliable starter, and then he kind of regressed and became really inconsistent.
All right, hold on one second. No, dang, Carmike. baby
hands. Come on, man.
Oh my goodness gracious, man. Ooh. All right. I'm gonna ask you next. Mendoza or these veterans? Fernando Mendoza or Jared Goff?
I would take Jared Goff. Even though I'm not a huge Jared Goff fan, I do think he's a good, effective quarterback. I feel like he will always be a good quarterback, especially in that system. I just don't know if he'll ever you talked about Hall of very good. I think that's Jared Goff. I think he's very, very good.
Yep. All right, next up, Fernando Mendoza or Kirk Cousins? Captain Kirk.
Well, if you're talking about right now today, I'm taking Mendoza because Kurt looked like he done. I think you can stick a fork in Kurt right now.
I can't believe Fernando Mendoza or Derek Carr?
I'm gonna say Mendoza, but full disclosure, I just never liked Derek Carr. I don't know why. You know, there's some athletes for whatever reason, you just like, I don't like that guy. I don't like him. And it's not, never mind that I don't like him, but as a quarterback, they tell you that Derek Carr can make every throw and that he's well liked and he's all these things, but he's so inconsistent.
His podcast doesn't show he's very liked either. Because if you listen to that podcast, they both sound like some jackasses. I ain't even sit here and lie. I ain't gonna say it. They both sound like jackasses. Every time I hear them or see them on their podcast, they don't seem to be likable people. That's just my opinion. Because he has been stealing money. Yeah,
That part too, Carmike.
that part too.
too.
If I'm picking, I'll probably take Mendoza over Golf because of the upside. I'm taking Mendoza over Kirk Cousins and Derek Carr.
Wait a minute. If you're picking though, you're picking like for your franchise, right?
Right.
I'm only saying that because if like Detroit wouldn't get rid of Golf for a rookie quarterback, you know what I mean?
Would you take Fernando Mendoza or Jimmy G?
I'm taking Mendoza.
Yeah, all day.
I've seen enough of Jimmy G. Like when you talk game manager, Jimmy G should be in the dictionary.
Yeah. Who do you like better, Mendoza or Joe Flacco?
I mean, the current version of Flacco that just got off the couch, I would take Mendoza. Like Flacco can still fling the football.
Yeah.
What is he, 41, 42?
Yeah.
I'm going with the young dude. I would take Mendoza off of over Aaron Rodgers because you have to draft if you're in the situation the Raiders are in for the future. Aaron Rodgers is not part of anybody's future. Like if you got a 40-plus-year-old quarterback, everything is on that season. And so if the Steelers bring back Aaron Rodgers, which they probably will, I think they're just putting a Band-Aid over a bigger problem. Like you at some point have to go get a franchise quarterback.
Right.
He's at prime Flacco or prime easy. It's prime Flacco. Prime Flacco won a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Fernando Mendoza or Matt Ryan?
I mean, are we talking about Matt Ryan when he was on the Falcons?
Prime Matt Ryan. Yep.
Yeah. Look, no offense to Mendoza. My gut feeling is he won't be a better quarterback than Matt Ryan.
So let me ask you this. Based on upside, talent, all the other good stuff, do you see Mendoza or Shedeur?
I think I would lean with Mendoza only because I saw him on the biggest stage step up and play against teams that most people had favored over Indiana, and he still stepped up and won.
Yeah.
Shedeur is kind of an anomaly to me because I think he's talented, Will, but I still think he's learning the quarterback position too. I don't think he's a finished product.
Yeah.
So to me, that could go either way. Obviously, Shedeur's got a little bit of experience under him over Mendoza, and situations matter.
Right.
I don't know if the Browns have been the most stable organization, even though the Raiders can make the same claim. But I guess Shedeur comes with a lot of baggage too. So I guess if I was doing a fresh start and I'm reconstructing my roster and I'm going forward with the future, I would probably go with Mendoza because it's just a fresh start.
One last thing before we get on out of here, as we're coming close upon our time here on Wire to Wire Network. Should the Eagles consider trading AJ Brown?
I think they want to, but I think they also know if they were to trade him now, I think they said it's something like is it a $43 million dead cap? It's something. It's a
like
huge
that, yeah.
cap hit. So I think they have to wait till, and the chat can correct me, but I think they have to wait either till April or May to where they can trade him, and the cap hit isn't nearly that big. But you are talking about a number one wide receiver, and I like Smitty a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think Smitty's a number one wide receiver. Like I think he's a really good number two. If you get rid of AJ Brown and you don't replace him, I think you hamstring the Eagles offense because, like I said, I don't think Smitty's a number one.
Right. All right, you guys, that is all the time we have this morning here for Coffee and Sports in the Morning on Wire to Wire Network. Okay. June 1st?
Appreciate that.
June 1st.
Appreciate that.
Okay, June 1st. Okay. That is all the time we have for Coffee and Sports in the Morning here on Wire to Wire Network. Mo, go ahead and take us out.
Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. Hey guys, make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network, we appreciate you.
We'll see you guys tomorrow here on Wire to Wire Network for Coffee and Sports in the Morning. Have a good day, everybody. Take care.